this, really was difficult for me. But then I remembered, have you guys seen the movie Finding Nemo? Anybody? Yeah. So if you haven't seen it, it's a, huh?
I thought it came out 2 years old.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen it, so it's a movie about a fish who loses his parents. He loses his dad, right? It's his dad. Yeah.
I think the dad loses his parents.
Yeah.
The dad loses his children.
Okay, dad loses his children. Anyway, they become separated. The child and the dad become separated, and he's a fish. And so he goes on this long journey to try to be reunited with his dad. He meets this other fish named Dory, and she has a memory problem. She can't remember anything longer than, I don't remember exactly how long it is, but it's like a few minutes. And but the one thing that she always keeps telling him, she always keeps encouraging him by saying, just keep swimming. It doesn't matter what happens, a shark attacks them, whatever it is, she says, just keep swimming. And so that's what I'm calling this class, just keep swimming. And so what is your name? Jenny? Okay, nice to meet you. I think I have also seen you before. All right, well, welcome. Nice to have you. And so I thought of Dory and her saying, just keep swimming. And so I thought, well, that's what we have to do. And the funny thing is, Srila Prabhupada has something that's a similar sentiment, but he says, don't jump off the boat. And so now these two things kind of conflict. How can I keep swimming but not jump off the boat? I'm not sure. So I have to jump off the boat to swim. So they don't really go together, but they're the same mentality, right? The same
keep saying.
Yeah. And so how many of you ever thought like spiritual life would be easier if your circumstances were different? Has anybody ever thought that? Like maybe, it'd be easier if I was married. It might be easier if I was a brahmachari. It might be easier if I, had a good position. It might be easier if I had less of a position, right? Yeah, these are all things that we think, right? And so, how about, have any of you felt completely motivated one day and then the next day just completely unmotivated, right? Yeah. Yeah, that happens. And then how many of you have like started something and then struggled to keep it going, right? That happens to me a lot. I start many things and very rarely do I finish them. And so most of us, we didn't start a spiritual practice because everything was perfect, right? And usually people come because something is broken in their lives, or something is confusing, or something is painful. And this is what usually brings people to start asking these big questions of spiritual life. So if spiritual life required that, proper mindset and the right habits and the right circumstances, none of us would be here for the most part. I mean, maybe Jamuna would be here. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. So spiritual life isn't dependent on us being in the right set of particular circumstances. It isn't dependent on us having the proper motivation either, even though the proper motivation helps. Well, it's not dependent on that. So how many of you have heard of our book, The Science of Self-Realization? Have you heard of that? So if you haven't, we have, I don't know, do we have any up here? No. Okay, well, we did. That's right. I stole them and put them in the boutique. Anyway, so this is a book called The Science of Self-Realization. And it's really great. If you haven't read it, please read it. This was actually the first book that I read. And as I was reading it, I remember sort of thinking, this is a strange title for a spiritual book, right? I remember thinking, because it's not a science. And I actually had a friend at the time, and I was trying to get them to read it because I really was blown away by what was contained in that book. And they said, well, they did a great disservice by calling this a science. It's not a science. So I'm going to argue that it is. So let's look at the definition of science. So the first definition of a science is knowledge or a system of knowledge covering general truths or the operation of general laws, especially as obtained and tested through the scientific method. And so testing with the scientific method, if you guys remember from when you learned this, I don't know, maybe in elementary school, that's basically where you do a test or an experiment, and for it to be successful, it should be repeatable, right? You should be able to do these certain steps, and then as a result of these certain steps, you get this particular outcome, right? And so that would work whether I do it, or whether you do it, or whether she does it. And that's what is considered a success, right? If you're using the scientific method. And so that's what this practice of bhakti is. It's a set of knowledge and laws, like the law of karma, and that covers general truths that when tested, you can get the same results. So now, what is that result? Does anyone know what the result of a bhakti practice is?
Love of God.
Yeah, love of God. So yeah, that's called Krishna Prema. So Krishna Prema is pure love of God. And this is something that everyone actually has innately within themselves, but it's covered over. And so Srila Prabhupada said this is a quote from a lecture he gave in 1972. He said, Prema is not, you have to get it outside, it is already there. Just like a young boy, a young girl, as soon as they meet, there is natural attraction. That is already there. It is not that he has brought this attraction from, purchased from some shopkeeper. No, it is already there. Simply by combination, it becomes aroused. That is all. Similarly, Krishna Prem is there. And he goes on to quote a line from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he says, Nitya Sira Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunaya. And I will read that full verse at the end of this quote. And so he continues, he says, it is not by artificial means that we are getting Krishna Prema. It is already there. But just like the attraction for a young man and young woman, it comes at a certain stage. Similarly, if you develop this Shravana Kirtana, which is hearing and chanting, then Krishna Prem will be aroused automatically. It is already there. So the verse that Srila Prabhupada quoted from the Chaitanya Charitamrita says, pure love for Krishna is eternally established in the hearts of the living entities. It is not something to be gained from another source. When the heart is purified by hearing and chanting, this love naturally awakens. So this is something that we have innately within us, this love for God. And when we hear and chant about Krishna, then that love naturally becomes uncovered. And so this is scientific. So here's the equation. Hearing plus chanting equals Krishna Prema. Srila Prabhupada gave us this formula. So this Krishna Prema is actually the meaning and the purpose of life. So the Srimad Bhagavatam tells us that the supreme occupation for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So this devotional service is what we're meant to do. Service to the Lord, service to the Supreme Lord Krishna. Okay, so that's well and good, but what if we don't want love of God, right? What if I just want peace? What if I just want a peaceful life? Then what? Or what if I want my life to stop being so painful or full of fear? Or what if I want material wealth? Or what if I just want a happy family? or a happy life? Or what if I think it's just too hard, right? These are all things that people think, or at least I've thought some of these things. Have any of you thought any of those? Like, yeah. And that's okay, because Krishna consciousness can work in all of these situations. So if you just want peace or freedom from pain, uh, understanding our true position and the true position of others gives us peace, right? Because we are eternal spirit souls and we're made to serve the Supreme Lord. So in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it says, fear arises when a living entity misidentifies himself as the material body because of absorption in the external illusory energy of the Lord. When the living entity thus turns away from the Supreme Lord, he also forgets his own constitutional position as a servant of the Lord. So when we're identifying with that material body, that is what causes us to have fear and pain, right? And so because we've forgotten what our actual constitutional position is, and that is a servant of the Lord. In the 4th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which the Srimad Bhagavatam are these books on the top shelf there. I think we're missing a couple volumes, but what's that? Yeah, the first canto got stolen a couple years ago, and now it is incomplete. But it's okay. We have many sets. I personally have 2 in my room. So, okay. So, in the 4th canto, it is said, by practicing Bhagavad Bhakti Yoga, one can becomes fearless and joyful. Unless one becomes fearless and joyful, he cannot understand the science of God. So that's how we can have a life without pain, without pain and worry, and with peace, right? I mean, being fearless and joyful sounds pretty peaceful to me. Okay, so what if you want material wealth? How about you, Jamuna? You want material wealth? Didn't I see you trying to save money to get a Ferrari? I think you. Which one?
To get a butler.
Oh, a butler. Oh, yeah, that's right. I also am going to get a butler. Yes. So yeah, if you want material wealth, Krishna can give you that too. There's many stories of his devotees getting material wealth, right? And so one of my favorites is the story of the fruit seller. So when Krishna, he was a small little boy, he had seen his parents making offerings, paying money to the fruit seller and getting fruit in exchange, right? Giving a few coins, and then they get delicious fruits. And so Krishna saw this, but he's a little boy. He doesn't have any money. And so he saw his parents exchanging grain. That's what he saw, right? So then for the fruits. So he thought, oh yes, I also want some fruits. I'm going to take some grain and exchange it to the fruit seller. So he's a little boy. I don't know exactly how little, like maybe like toddler age. And so he grabs some grains and he starts walking over to the fruit seller. But his hands are so tiny, he can't hold very many grains, And also, he's a little kid, and so he's not able to hold on to them very tight, and they're just kind of falling out from his hands. And as he gets to the fruit seller, he's only got maybe a few grains left. And so he offers the grains to the fruit seller, and it's not what she usually enough, than she usually accepts. But she just is so charmed by little Krishna, she decides to go ahead and give him all the fruit. And so she just, wanted him to have the fruit and enjoy. And so Krishna wanders away with the fruit, and suddenly she looks down in her basket, which should be empty because she just gave him all the fruit. But instead it's full of all these jewels, right? Because Krishna wanted to show his love for his devotee. And so he gave her all these jewels. So that's one of many stories where Krishna can help you with material wealth. So, what if you want something more than fruits, or what if you want something, even greater than that? We have the story of Dhruva, right? So Dhruva, he's a young prince. He was hurt by his stepmother saying some very awful things to him and told him that he couldn't sit on his own father's lap. And so he was very upset by this and very angry. And when he told his mother, and his stepmother actually told him, if you want to sit on your father's lap, then you best go pray to the Lord that you can be reborn from my womb, right? So that's pretty harsh. He was only like 5 years old. So, and then when he went and told his mother, she, in one way, told him the same thing. Yes, I mean, only the Lord can help you at this time. And he said, okay, well, where is the Lord? And she said, well, all I know is that the sadhus, they go out to the forest to find the Lord. So little Dhruva, at 5 years old, he decides to go out to the forest and look for the Lord, because what he wanted was, he wanted to, in one way, sort of have revenge by getting a kingdom greater than his father's, a kingdom greater than his grandfather's, greater than his great-grandfather's. And this is no small thing, because his great-grandfather made the entire universe. So he wants a kingdom greater than the universe. And so that's pretty big. And so anyway, he goes out to the forest and he does many, many austerities, because while he was in the forest, he met a great sage named Narada Muni, who instructed him on how to do devotional service. And first he tried to convince him to go home. He said, you're just a little boy, just go home, forget about this. But Dhruva said, no, I cannot. He could not forget it. And so he does these austerities as he was instructed by his spiritual master. And one day he's meditating on the form of the Lord in his heart. And so he's just meditating very, very strongly, very seeing that form of the Lord in his heart. And suddenly that form of the Lord disappears from his meditation. And so he kind of is a little bit disturbed by this. And so he opens his eyes and trying to figure out what happened. And there is the Lord himself standing there in front of him. And so Dhruva is dumbfounded and he can't really speak. And the Lord very kindly he's holding a conch shell and he kind of boops him on the head with the conch. And this allows Dhruva to get his voice back and start saying all these beautiful prayers to the Lord. And what he ends up saying is that he realizes now, seeing the Lord face to face, that what he was asking, what he wanted, that kingdom greater than his father's and his grandfather's, was like pieces of broken glass. Now that he sees the real gem, which was the Lord in front of him. And so he no longer wanted that kingdom, but the Lord gave it to him anyway. So he gave it to him anyway. And so Dhruva got what he initially wanted, but by that time he realized, no, the real true gem is serving the Lord. So what if you want a happy family? So this also can happen, right? So we have the story of Sudama, the Brahmin. So Sudama, he was a poor Brahmin, and his wife, she was a very, very good wife, but they were so poor, they were becoming very skinny and just, not well kept or anything like that. And finally, his wife, she's seeing her husband getting skinnier and skinnier, and she's becoming concerned. And so she begs him, she asks him, why don't you go see your friend Krishna? Surely he can help. Because Sudama had been schoolmates with Krishna. And so he decided, okay, he wanted to, please his wife, so he went. But he needed to bring something, as is customary, right? When you go to visit somebody, sometimes you bring a small gift to their house. And so he was looking around, what can I bring? So the only thing that he was able to gather was a little bit of chipped rice. So these are kind of like a very poor food. And he had to kind of gather it from the neighbors. And so he goes to see Krishna, and Krishna greets him like an old friend and has him come and sit down in his spot, and starts fanning him and treating him so wonderfully. And Sudama, he's kind of embarrassed. He doesn't want to give up his chipped rice because it's embarrassing, right? He goes to Krishna, who has this big opulent palace, right? And all he has is some little broken pieces of rice to offer him. And so Krishna, he kind of knows this, and he says, "Well, you didn't bring me anything." And Krishna finds the chipped rice, and he starts eating it. And Krishna is in such ecstasy eating this rice because he's eating actually the love with which it was brought. And what ended up happening is Sudama, he was true. He didn't want to ask, so he didn't ask Krishna to help him with his home life, even though that's what his wife had wanted him to do, and he was kind of too bashful, and so he left without asking. But when he went home, suddenly he sees this big, beautiful house, and he sees this beautiful woman coming out, and it's his wife. And here Krishna had given him so much wealth, and had made his wife become beautiful again, and so in that way, he pleased his wife. Okay, so what if it's too hard, right? What if you say, I can't do it. I can't follow the rules. I can't learn all the scriptures. It's just too hard. So sometimes you've been practicing spiritual practice for a while, and it seems too hard because you're suddenly confronted with all these anarthas, right? You're confronted with all these unwanted things in your heart, and you think you're never going to overcome these things, all these character defects that you have, right? And you're literally battling with the whole reason that you're here in this material world. This is the whole reason why you're here, right? The whole reason why you left Krishna in the first place. There's all these kind of things in your heart that you can't get rid of, and you don't want them there, but they're there, right? And you just feel like they're stuck, like I'm never going to be able to get rid of these things. And it can seem hopeless, but still, you should keep going. Just keep swimming, like Dory said, right? And Krishna, he will take charge, and he will pull you to him. Just keep swimming. Because Srila Prabhupada promises us this, and so does Krishna. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances to me, and worship me, being completely absorbed in me. Surely you will come to me. He says further in the Bhagavad Gita, he said, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. So Krishna is telling us that we are his very dear friend, and that if we just offer our homage unto him, we worship him, that we will come back to him. He guarantees it. So, I mean, if you're not taking my word for it, you can take the word of God, right? I hope so. Okay, so what about if you make a lot of mistakes? Or, you don't know the rules, or you can't follow them, right? That happens. So there's a story of Shabari. So Shabari is a village woman, and she's a seeker. She's really, seeking spiritual life. And she has a spiritual master, and he told her to serve and worship Lord Ram. And that if she did that, Lord Ram, so that's Krishna in the form of Lord Ram, he would give her darshan one day. He would come to her face to face. And so every day she picked some berries, and she would taste every single berry that she picked. She would taste them because she only kept the sweetest ones. Right? She only kept the sweetest berries because she was offering them to the Lord, and she wanted to make sure they were the sweet ones. Like, did you ever get a berry and it's just like completely sour, or it just tastes kind of like wet nothing? I mean, that's such a bummer, especially with how expensive berries are nowadays. Anyway, so she only kept those sweetest berries to offer to the Lord. She didn't know that you're not supposed to taste the offering of the Lord before you give it to Him. And so one day, she's offering these berries to Lord Ram, and finally, Lord Ram appeared in her ashram. And so many yogis try to see Lord Ram, right? But he only came to her ashram. And then she offered him the berries. She had some berries that she had picked that day. She offered them to him. And Lakshman, his brother, he warned Ram that the berries had been tasted, that they were not clean, they were not suitable for eating. And Lord Ram ate them anyway. And he said there was no comparison to these berries, and it could not be equaled. And again, that's because of the love that was she did that service in, right? And so yeah, I mean, even if you make mistakes, or you don't know the rules, or you can't follow the rules, still try to serve with love. All right, so what if we're just completely helpless, right? This, there's that saying, there's no atheists in a foxhole, right? Because somebody's completely helpless, and the only thing they can do is turn to the Lord and say, please save me, right? And so, do you guys know what a foxhole is? It's like during a war, it's a little hole that you kind of hide in from the enemy forces. And so people are actively trying to kill you, and there's bombs falling down, and you're just hiding in a hole in the ground, and there's nothing you can do, right, except pray. So Krishna will definitely help then too, because once there was this elephant named Gajendra, and he was the king of a huge herd of elephants, and he had thousands of lady elephants, and he used to have fun with them in a nice lake or a river. And Gajendra, he's one day enjoying the lake with his lady elephants, and he's just bathing, and they're having a nice time. And suddenly, this crocodile from below catches him. Now, normally, elephant is able to beat in a fight with a crocodile if they're on land. But if they're in the water, that's where the crocodile has the advantage, right? Because crocodile's a very good swimmer, and that's his territory. And so this crocodile grabs Gajendra by the leg, and they start fighting. It says for like thousands of years, I believe, or is it 1,000 years, or it's several thousand years? I don't remember. A long time, very long time. And so they're fighting, and they're fighting, and they're fighting. And Gajendra, he is not able to get an upper hand. He's finally starting to get tired, and he realizes, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. He's going to kill me. And he has nothing left that he can do. But he looks over, and he sees a beautiful lotus flower in the lake. And so he reaches over with his trunk, and he picks the flower, and he holds it up, and he starts reciting some prayers that he remembers from a past life. Suddenly he remembers these prayers. And then suddenly, Lord Vishnu comes on his carrier Garuda to save him, and he kills the crocodile and saves Gajendra. And so he was completely hopeless, but he still came. So even if we chant accidentally, even if we call out to the Lord accidentally, this also will help us. Because there is a story of a Brahmana. He was a very nice Brahmana, doing so much devotional service, serving the Lord nicely, and then he became corrupted by a lady. And he started living with this lady. He left his wife for this other lady, and he started living with her, and they started having all these children, and he started doing these things that are not so great to support his big family now. And he was doing so many terrible, sinful things. But he had named his youngest son Narayan, which is the name of the Lord. And so he's on his deathbed one day, and he sees the Yamadutas come, which are the messengers of death. And so they're very scary. They're scary. And so he's scared. And so he starts calling out for his son, Narayan. And when he called out the name Narayan, although he was calling for his son, he actually said the name of the Lord. And so what happened then was that the messengers of the Lord came. And the messengers of the Lord now are meeting the messengers of death, and they start having this kind of debate about who gets to take him, right? Do we get to take him, to be punished, or do we get to take him to be saved, right? Which is it? And so they kind of they're arguing, they're debating, and ultimately the messengers of the Lord win, and they say no. He called out the name of the Lord one time, and so he's ours. And so actually, they gave him a little bit more time. He didn't die right then. And so they basically told him to straighten up. And he did. He straightened up. He changed his ways. He went back to devotional service. And so ultimately, then when he came to the end of his life again, he was able to be taken back home to the Lord. So even if you're chanting accidentally, right? You chant the name of the Lord accidentally, it still has power because this is a scientific thing, right? So in the 6th canto, it says, one who chants the holy name of the Lord is immediately freed from the reaction of unlimited sins, even if he chants indirectly to indicate something else, jokingly, for musical entertainment, or even neglectfully. This is accepted by all the learned scholars of the scriptures. So this happens a lot when we go out and we're chanting in the street, right? Sometimes people will make fun of us. This happens, right? And people will be like, oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Well, they're getting benefit from that, even though they're making fun of us, right? Because they're saying the name of the Lord. So devotional service is the way to perfect our lives. Devotional service is for everyone, no matter what stage you're at, no matter what kind of life you're leading, right? There's so many stories in the Bhagavatam of people doing really horrible things, murders, rapists, doing horrible things, but then they took to devotional service and they were able to be saved, right? So in the 2nd canto, it says, O king, constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord after the ways of great authorities is the doubtless and fearless way of success for all, including those who are free from all material desires, those who are desirous of all material enjoyment, and also those who are self-satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge. So that covers everybody, I think, right? People that want material things, they want all the material things. People that say, no, I don't need any of those material things. And people that have all the transcendental knowledge, right? This is the way of success for them, is chanting the holy name. So further on in the 2nd canto, it says, a person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desire, without any material desire, or if they desire liberation, must by all means worship the supreme whole, the personality of Godhead. So this devotional service starts with hearing and chanting about Krishna. So in the 12th canto, it says, my dear king, although Kali Yuga, which is the time that it's the age that we're in now, it's called the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, which I can verify every time I go to Walmart. I see this. I was just there last week, and there was some lady screaming and yelling at the security guard and made a huge scene. And so everybody was just standing around staring, wow, and she was throwing a fit. because I think she had stolen something. He was trying to get her, and she said, "No, how dare you accuse me?" um, but yeah, so the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. So in the 12th canto, it says, "My dear king, although Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, there is still one good quality about this age. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom." So we just need to surrender to Krishna. So how do you do that? So we need to practice. We need to practice it, right? Because we've been in this material world for billions and billions of lifetimes. So it's hard to break free from this illusion, from Maya. So we need to spend our time developing this quality of surrender. If we take one step towards Krishna, he'll take 1,000 steps towards us. If we just show an honest desire to get to know Krishna, he will help us and he will show us how to come to him. And he tells us that in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, "To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me." He then says, the verse I quoted a little bit earlier, "Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend." He says, "Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions." Right? So that means the karma, right? Those sinful reactions we're getting is the workings of karma, right? For every action, there's an equal but opposite reaction, right? And so this is what's going on. He can deliver us from this endless cycle. So we hear and chant about Krishna. We associate with and serve the devotees. And we offer our food and eat only prasadam, which is the food that's been offered to the Lord. So if you do these things, you will get out of the material world with all its pain and suffering. You'll go back to Krishna and you'll realize your eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge original self, because that's what we are originally, eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. So just keep swimming. Or don't jump off the boat. Pick one. But either way, we want to do that. So I will end here. If there's any comments or questions, and if not, I have these cards, which I wanted. Last time I gave a talk, I wanted to have everybody take one of these cards and then just say something about it. I need them back, but I don't know if you guys want to do that or not. Yeah, you want to do? Do you want to pass them out to everybody? Just everybody take one.
I don't.
Oh, here, let me have one too. Give me left.
Shuffle?
It doesn't matter. They're really hard to shuffle. I've tried, but if you can do it, yeah. Okay. Ooh.
What's these cards?
Well, I got two.
Double trouble. Yeah, my aunt gave me these cards. So I was sitting at my aunt's house on Christmas, and for Christmas at the family Christmas party, and I looked over to the right of me, and then I saw this little box that said Bhagavad Gita cards, and I said, "What? What is that?" So I picked them up, and I was like, "Wow, these are great." And so then I said, "Where did you get these?" And she said, "Oh, my neighbor gave them to me." And then she said, "You can have them." I said, "No." I said, "I want you to have them. And then, if I take them, you won't read them, And then, so I wouldn't let her give them to me, but then she kept insisting. And so it was really hard to say no, because these are beautiful. So on one side, there's a beautiful illustration, and then on the other side is a verse. And so I think it would just be fun, everybody, to read one and see if you have anything to say, either about the picture or the verse. All right. So I'll go first. So it says intelligence, and it have goddess Saraswati, who's the goddess of learning, on here. And the verse says, "The senses are superior to matter. The mind is higher than the senses, and higher than the mind is intelligence, but the soul is higher still." Yeah, when I first heard this verse, I thought, oh, that makes a lot of sense, that there's a difference between the mind and the intelligence. Because sometimes within my own inner dialogue, I would argue with myself, and I'm like, who am I arguing with here? It's like, it's just me, you know. But now it makes sense. It's most likely my mind and my intelligence kind of arguing. All right, what do you have, Bob?
I got the mode of goodness and I got the sage. So the mode of goodness has a nice picture of Radha and Krishna hanging out in the moonlight. And then the sage has Ganesh.
Yeah.
And he's writing Bhagavatam, maybe? I know he wrote. Anyway, the mode of goodness says, chapter 18, verse 38, happiness in the mode of goodness in the beginning seemed like poison, but at the end is just like nectar before it is born out of peace of self-realization. I really like this, and it's kind of a reminder that, I think to me, that things that are worth having, take time and effort and discipline, and which are all things that I feel like I lack. Yeah, it's very relatable, and I have to remind myself that, austerity or taking on voluntary pains for a higher goal is always worth it.
Yeah.
In the end. With this one, the sage, it says, chapter 2, verse 69, what is night for all creatures is the time of awakening for the self-controlled, and the time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective sage.
That means you got to go to bed on time. No.
Yeah, that's one meaning. This verse. I've always been confused by this verse, honestly. I'm not read the purport. I guess my understanding of it is that for those who are on the spiritual path and for those who are kind of more on the material path, that it's basically like night and day, and that the priorities are very much reversed in both of those paths. So one's going one way, one's going the other. Basically, one's going more towards darkness, one's going more towards light. And also, it makes me think that, for people who maybe have a cursory glance at the lifestyle of a devotee and like what we do on the regular, they might think, well, that's like horrible. Why would you like do all this stuff?
Yeah, why would you get up so early?
You have to follow 4 regs. So, like, their perspective is that this is like really horrible. It's like night.
Yeah.
But actually, it's like we're in the daylight, we're illuminated. And likewise, we see the lifestyles of so many fortunate people, and who are so, in ignorance or intoxicated or whatever, just living in these little modes of darkness. Seems nectarian for them, but so not leading to anything good. So
yeah. Yeah. All right. How about you?
30 seconds. All right. I got individuality and Hanuman. Oh my gosh. Chapter 2, verse 12. At no time that I did not exist, nor you, nor any of these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be, because our souls are eternal.
Yeah.
And but we are also individuals.
Yeah.
And I'm 24 karat gold.
That's right.
Yes. In the words of my Guru Maharaj, Jai.
Try. All right, very nice. All right, how about you, Jenny, right? Which one did you get?
Equal vision, like person,
Krishna.
and somebody with a mustache.
Arjuna.
And it says, by virtue of transcendental knowledge, the wise see the same divine truth beings from the cow to the elephant to the dog, or even the outcast dog eater. And I think it just kind of reminds me of the yoga studio that I go to, and it's called Drishti Yoga, and it's, as the card said, equal vision. It's like, well, it reminds me of our third eye because it's in the middle of our two eyes. Third eye, you can see things clearly as they are in their innocence, and everything is because it's all one. We are innocent too, no matter what our perceptions are in the moment. We just focus our gaze and stay present and are willing to let go of what isn't true, then we get back to the same spot, and we can always go back there anytime. That's my first thoughts about it all, really. It just,
That's good. Thank you. That was very nice. No, I think I'm okay. All right, it's up to you guys if you want to still read yours or if you want to eat. It's up to you. You want to go ahead?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Or maybe we'll just say something like less than a minute so that we can all eat. Yeah, go ahead.
I got this card that says the restless mind, and it has a picture of Mahabharata where when Krishna is riding this chariot of Arjuna, and these both horses, and Krishna is controlling them, but our mind, or my mind, it's like this horses without any chariot here.
Yeah.
And I was thinking what kind of car I would get, and I get that same car.
I know.
My restless mind, and it says, the yoga practitioner whose mind is unbridled can never attain the self-realization. That's me. Only one who has mastered the self and who strives by the right means is assured of success. Yeah, I never mastered the self, and so I'm striving for success.
All right, very good. Yeah, I identify with what you said. I also have an unbridled mind. All right, Chris, how about you?
It's the source of all, chapter 10, verse 8. I am the source of all spiritual and material universes, for everything emanates from me. Knowing this, the wise engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their heart.
Hi. Got anything?
So that makes it easy. There's just one place to put all your attention. So
That's right. All right, John.
got it.
All right, Francisco, or should I say Carlos?
Unmovable in chapter 10, verse 25 of the great singers. I am the Brigu of words. I am the silver Om of sacrifices. I am Japa, the silent chanting of holy names. and amongst immovable things, I am the Himalaya mountains.
Nice.
I don't know really what to say, but
That's okay.
I know that when I was in the Himalayan mountains, it felt very spiritual without even having to mention the holy name.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just walking up to the temple, it was
Yeah.
like wow, you know. It was beautiful. So I really don't know because I don't know what Bible means. But the fact that it says japa, and I know japa has to do with the praying.
Yeah.
You
Chanting.
know, so I feel like maybe being in a very special place in the moment, any place. It just happened to be that I've been to the Himalayas. That it was special. You know what I mean? Just being there in the moment.
Yeah. And
Even though you were freezing, I felt my nails from my toes and my hand wanting to chip off. You know?
Oh man.
And then seeing a yogi here on the side of the cave
With nothing on, basically.
with just like a little
cloth.
underwear, I was like, oh, that's some crazy stuff.
All
That
right.
was very special.
All right.
Thank you.
You went to Krishna temple at 10,000 feet.
Yeah.
Nepal?
In Nepal.
Nothing happened.
All right. Hopefully I can go there one day. All right, Radanga Prabhu.
I've got to be famous, chapter 18, verse 65 and 66.
Oh, yeah.
Man mano baba man bhakto man mam namaskuru mame vaishvasi satyante rashi shane priyosine. You mentioned this earlier in your class. Krishna says, think of me always, be my devotee, sacrifice to me and bow down to me. Do this and you will come to me. I promise you this truth, for you are dear to me. Give up all other duties and varieties of religion and simply surrender to me. I shall deliver you from all sin, so have no fear.
Yeah. I mean, great. Just kind of sums it up what we need to do, right?
That one's easy. That one's right there.
Yeah. All right.
God, Lord Ganesha, doubting soul, and it is written in the chapter 4, verses 40. But the ignorant and faithless person who doubt the truth will forever be lost. Doubting soul is happy neither in his life or the next. That means, like, I feel that if I doubt myself, then I will be lost in this life. I will not able to find the truth in this life, neither in this life nor the next one.
Right. Very good. All right. All right, Narahari Prabhu.
So the card I got has the Sanskrit for chapter 13, verse 34.
Oh, I think I know what card you're talking about.
But the English translation is actually for 244.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Must be some sort of typo.
Yeah, when I went through this whole deck, I remember that card because I was like, "Hey, this is not right."
So yeah,
Have some light out.
The translation for the verse that's listed here is, O son of Bharat, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. But what's listed here is, those whose minds are enchanted by sense enjoyment and material opulence never find a resolute determination to practice spiritual life.
The Sanskrit, that's the Sanskrit, or
So the Sanskrit here is for what I just read.
Bogashvaya Prashakana?
Yes, this is showing 244.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's important to check your sources rather than blindly accept.
That's absolutely right. Anybody that's using ChatGPT for studying, you better check it because ChatGPT just makes stuff up. And so, also, yeah, it's important always to check your sources. All right, very good. All right, so I'll just collect the cards and then. Yeah, here's our cards. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Then all of them.
Haven't forgot that.
Well, thank you guys.
Oh,
Thank you very much, Lalita.
Thank you.
I
Have a
hope,
nice class.
I hope it was okay. I literally didn't.